Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be creating this landing page. Okay, so it's just like a developer portfolio landing page, and you can see we've got this really cool, nice, intro text in the background, and we have this animation on the canvas where we're, drawing, loads of different random circles to the canvas. But yeah, it's just we're going to be using TypeScript as well in this tutorial. So, I've only started learning or picking up TypeScript recently. I've mainly been using JS up to this point, but I feel like it's an important skill to learn these days. Type safety is very important, especially in bigger projects. So yeah, we're just going to be covering that. You can see here, we're going to use TypeScript config file, where we can set, our export to ES5 syntax. We create our dist folder here, and then, if we look in our app.js, it's all converted into ES5. So it's using, like the var word, keyword, that kind of thing. But yeah, hope you enjoy, guys, and let's get going. Thanks. Okay guys, so the first thing we need to do before we can start this project really is to make sure you have TypeScript installed on your machine. Okay, so just to give you an overview of what TypeScript is in a nutshell, it's basically a superset of JavaScript. Okay, so what it does, you can see here on the main website, typescriptlang.org. Just use an overview here really. So, it adds syntax with JavaScript to support tighter integration with your editor and catch errors early. So it does this basically just by implementing types. Okay, so it understands JavaScript here and uses type inference to give you great tooling. So basically what this can do, it's just a way of catching kind of errors in your code before we, if we was to build this as a website, as a static website, it would give us the, it would highlight any errors before we kind of run any builds or before runtime. Okay, so I have, just to check, I already have TypeScript on my computer. So you can see I have version 4.7.4 here. You can see this is actually outdated now. We have 4.8 available. So to download and install TypeScript, if you just come to the download page here, I'll probably just install it globally. So what you do, you just copy this snippet here, this npm. This is an npm install as well, so you will need to have Node.js on your computer, okay, on your machine. So just come to Node.js and make sure you just download the latest version for your machine here. Okay, so once you do have Node installed, if we just run this snippet in our terminal now, so this should upgrade it for me. So if I just run that, you can see it's installed in TypeScript. And now if I just do that version, tsc --v, you can see now I have 4.8.4. Okay, so that's the latest version that's installed. Okay, so now TypeScript's installed. You can see here the previous command, it had this -g for global. This is the global flag, so that means TypeScript is installed in my system. So now we can get up and running. Okay, so once you have TypeScript installed, let's just open a new project in VS Code. You can see here I've just got two files this time. So I have an index.html, both empty, and a style.css. Now I'm going to open terminal in my VS Code setup here, and let's just make this a bit bigger. And in the terminal, I'm just going to say tsc --init. Okay, and what that does, that just creates a new tsconfig, so a TypeScript config file. And this is just where we can just, apply all of our settings. So the main ones we're going to be using for this tutorial is the target syntax here. So obviously we have like the ES 2016 or ES6 syntax that we can export our TypeScript file to, or we can use an older version like ES5 for example, and that will just basically allow it to run in older browsers, that kind of thing. And we're also just going to come down to the bottom here. Where do you want to go? We just want to set an output directory. So basically browsers can't run TypeScript files. Okay, so actually let's just create a TypeScript file now. So I just say app.ts like so. This is a TypeScript file, and then if we come to, let me just try and find where it is again. It's this outdir here. Okay, so what this does is specify the output folder for all emitted files. I'm just going to comment this out, and we'll set this, we'll create a dist folder like so. We'll just leave that there for now. So basically when we run our TypeScript file, it will create a folder called dist, and it will place an app.js version of this TypeScript file in that dist folder. Okay, so just to show you what I mean, we could just say const, the name, and here, this is what I mean by types. We can say what type this variable would be. So we're going to set this to a string, and in this case, we'll just say Conor. Okay, And why is that already giving me? Okay, cannot redeclare. All right, yeah, okay. I'll just say my name because name's a window object variable. Okay, so now we have this. Okay, and just let's just run this. Okay, so what we can say here, the command to convert a tsconfig, a TS file, we just say tsc in the terminal, like so. Okay, and what that will do, you can see now the dist folder has been created here in our directory, and we have an output app.js file, and you can see here that just creates the JavaScript version. So you can see it, you just basically, you don't have types in JavaScript, so that's why the types now have been, it's disappeared from our JavaScript file. And just to show you how this kind of type checking works, if we set this to a number, for example, like 13, you can see now we get the error, which says type number is not assignable to a string type. If we change this to a number, that would all be okay. So that's just basically a really quick overview of type checking. Okay, so let's delete this for now. I don't need that. And I think, what I also want to do here is I just want to set the output of the target to be ES5. Okay, so you can see at the moment in our JS file we have const and keywords like let would be allowed, for example. But this wouldn't work in older browsers. You'd have to use I say this has been around for a while now, ES6. But if you wanted to ensure maximum capability across all browsers, then we can set the target to be an older version of JavaScript. So here I've set it to ES5, for example. And what we can do now, if we press TSC, you should see now, what we need to do as well is just add something in here. So my name, string equals Conor. You should see now, if we run TSC, we come to app.js, and now you can see it's using the var as opposed to the const. So that's what we're doing there with this tsconfig. Okay, so that's just, I'm not going to go over all of these now. Maybe this will, as we progress with more TypeScript videos, I can explain these settings. But yeah, let's just get into the project now. So as I said before, let's just get some basic HTML open. So just emit the HTML boilerplate here, and we're going to just obviously set the script source here to be ./dist, and we want to point it to our JS file. Remember, we can't run TypeScript in the browser. Okay, so that's why we have to point it to our JS output.js file. I'm just going to say a link to our style.css as well, and that's okay, so that's good. And another thing we can do here as well now is I'm just going to say in the terminal down here, I'm just going to say -- watch, like so. And then what this will do now is whenever, it's basically like a live server for TypeScript, so whenever we make a change in our TypeScript file, such as, I don't know, we change the name, for example, to be Dave, you can see now it's just changing and it's always watching. And at the same time, if we make this a number, so it's the incorrect type, we will now see the error in our console down here, our terminal rather. You can see here type number is not assignable to the type of string. Okay, so that's just what TypeScript does. Whenever we make a save, we'll be any immediate errors will be highlighted to us in the terminal, so we know there's something that we need to adjust with our code. Okay, cool. So let's just jump into our HTML page or file now. Sorry. And yeah, okay. So the first thing we want to do, let's just delete this code here. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to create a section tag. Okay, and I'm going to make this a bit bigger as well so you can see what we're doing. So let's just minimize, just come out a little bit. Okay, so it's in the body, we'll say section. Okay, and then in here, the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to have a div with a class of hero text, like so. And then in here, we're just going to have a span. And then we're just going to say a h1, and this will be, it will have a class of hero header here. Hero, we'll just say header, like so. So I've just done double underscore header there. And then in this h1, we can just say 2022. This is going to be like a developer portfolio landing page. Okay. And then, so coming out of this div, we're going to do another one here and copy that. And again, it's going to have the same, actually, no, let's just, so we've got a div of hero text. Sorry, this needs to be within its own div as well. So we'll just say div here. And then we can put this span element within that div, like so. Okay, and then if we come out of there, we can do the same thing again. So we'll just say, just delete this. And again, let me just delete that for now. We'll just copy this div down again. Okay, and then in here, we're just going to say, I don't know, yeah, portfolio. And then I'll just put, yeah, my name after. So again, using the same kind of layout in a separate div. And we'll just say here, I'll just use my name for now for the purpose of this tutorial, all in capital letters. Okay, cool. So now underneath that, I'm just going to have so we're going to come out of the main hero text div now. Okay, so let's just, actually I think we do need to close that. Okay, let's just close the div down here, like so. Then we'll bring this in line. Okay, so now that closes that out. And then underneath this, I'm going to have a section called panel container, or a div with a class name of panel _ twice container, like so. And then I'm going to have a div with a class of panel here. And then in here, we're just going to have another div with a class of text _ wrap, like so. And I'm also going to give this a class of reverse, okay? And this is going to be for just like a reverse animation we're going to apply to this div. Okay, and then in here I'm just going to just use my name again. Again, use what you want. This is your project, your landing page. This is just for tutorial purposes. Okay, and then underneath this we're going to have another panel. So if we just copy this div down, I'm going to copy it down 3 more times. And here, I'm just going to set that to Bailey. And I'm just going to take out the reverse class for the second and fourth panels, or text wrap elements. And again, change the second and fourth headers to Bailey, okay, like so. And then I think that's pretty much it for our HTML, to be honest. I think all we need to do now is just say, we just want a canvas element, because this is where we're going to apply that kind of web animation. Okay, so we'll say canvas, and I'm going to bring this outside of the section, actually, the main section element, like so. Okay, cool. So let's just open this with Live Server now. Okay, cool. So that's pretty much it. Let's now go to our style.css. Okay, so if we come to, let's just close these down for now, these JS and TS files. I'm to style.css here, and the first thing we want to do is I just want to say, just do our global settings. So I just say, you know, as always, margin, and I need to adjust my VS Code settings because it always applies post CSS as opposed to just normal CSS. Okay, so just come down the bottom here and I've changed that. So I'm going to say margin 0, padding 0, and box sizing of border box, like so. And then come underneath this, I'm just going to select my H1 elements, and I'm going to say font size, and here I'm just going to say 10 VW, like so. And then I'm going to add a letter space in here of minus 0.5 VW. That should be minus, like so, just to bring the letters a bit closer together. I'm also just going to set the font family here to sans serif for now. Okay, cool. And then we'll set the font weight as well. We'll say font weight, say 400, make it a bit thinner. Okay, so now kind of underneath this, next thing I want to do is grab our hero header. Okay, so say .hero _ header, and here we're just going to say transform, and we're going to translate Y 100%, And we're going to give this a transition as well of 1 second. Okay. So let's just. Okay, so that you can see that's translating it. Obviously, you'll see this in the animation later while we're doing that. Okay, and then the next one I want to do is just target our span elements. So remember, we had these. If we come up here in our hero text section, we have these span elements. Okay, and what we want to do with these is we're going to say display. So I say span, and here we'll just say display inline block, and we're going to say overflow hidden. Okay, so you can see now. Actually, if I just comment this out, this panel container section for now. Okay, you'll notice now if I change basically the transform translate, you can see now we can see it, and then when we translate it 100%, it's actually hidden because these hero headers are contained within these span elements. And what we've done here is we've set the overflow to hidden, and for this to work, for this overflow hidden to work, we need to display it with the inline block property. That's how we can hide the text when they're embedded within a span element. Okay, so that's why we're doing that. And let's just uncomment out that HTML. Okay, so next, come underneath this. Next thing I want to target is my canvas element. Okay, and here I'm just going to set the position. I'm going to have this fixed. Okay, so it never leaves the screen or the viewport. We'll set this top 0, left 0. And we'll just give this a z-index of 2 as well, just to bring it in front of other elements. If I just say a border, 1 pixel, just so we can see where that is. Solid red. You can see there's our canvas at the top left there. We're going to adjust the size shortly with JavaScript. Okay, so next thing I want to do here is I'm just going to select my HTML and our body. And I'm just going to delete that border actually, because I don't need that. And here we're just going to set the background color, and that's just going to be a really dark kind of blackish color. Okay, so say 151515. Cool. So that's it's kind of like really dark grey. Okay, and then kind of underneath this, next thing we want to do is select our panel container. Okay, so we'll say dot panel _, container, and here we're going to use position absolute. Again, top 0, left 0. And then we're going to set the width to be 100% and the height to be 100 VH. Okay, that's viewport heights to fill the screen vertically. And you can see now the text has gone to the top left of the screen as well here. Okay, so that's what that position absolute is doing. It's positioned to the top 0 and left 0, which is the top left corner. Now underneath this, we're just going to again set the background color. Actually, no, we don't need to do that. We'll leave that for now. I'm just going to set the z-index to 1 here. Okay, and then I'm going to display this with flexbox as well. So we'll say flex, display flex. And what you can see that does is that just brings the text side by side. Okay, so it's displayed horizontally now. Now, kind of underneath this, the next one I want to do is select our panel elements. So the individual panel elements within our panel container. So these elements here. So if we come underneath this, I'll just say .panel, and we'll say position relative. Okay, and then I'm going to say flex of 1. Okay, and what this will do is it'll just it will make them spread across the panel container as an equal width. Okay, so if they're all a flex of 1 and there's 4 panels in total, they'll each take up a quarter of the viewport width. Okay, so now underneath this, I'm just going to set the height to 100%, and then we can say again overflow hidden. And now you'll see if I do a border. We'll just do a border for now, 1 pixel solid red. You can see now there's each of our 4 panels, okay, spread nice and evenly across the viewport like so. Okay, so that's great. Now let's come underneath here. Next thing we want to do is grab our text wrap elements. So that's each of these kind of container divs with our H1 elements within each panel. Okay, so let's do that now. Come under here, I'll just say .text, and we'll just say text __ wrap, and here again I'm going to use position absolute, and then we'll say top 50%, like so. So now you see our text has gone 50% down the page, down the panel, and then we'll just say left of 50% as well. Okay, and now what we need to do here as well is we're just going to say, again, we want to display this with flexbox here, and then we're going to set the transform origin here to center, like so, and then we also just need to do a transform, and we're going to use translate here, and we want to say -50%, comma, -50%. Okay, and what that does, that centers the text. Okay, so it centers it up, and then what we now need to do is rotate this as well. So within the transform section, we're just going to say rotate, and we can say -90 degrees, so -90 deg, like so. Now you can see our text is nice and rotated and centered to each panel, and it grows with the viewport width as well. Okay, so that's looking great. Now underneath this, the next thing I want to do here is we're going to set the opacity to 0 initially. Okay, and that we're doing that because we're going to fade this in with the intro animation. Okay, when we load our page, and then we just want to set a transition here, and we're going to just apply a transition speed to the opacity CSS settings, and we're going to make it fade in with 1 second. Okay, and then what we can now do is if we come under here and we'll just say .text $_wrap, I'm just going to say we'll just say here opacity of 1. Okay, and that will make it viewable. Okay, and what we need to do is just set active here. So this is when we apply the active class to that text wrap. Okay, so now what we need to do is I'm just going to say we'll do the animations towards the end, actually, the keyframe animations for this. So let me just think what else we need to do here. So next thing we'll do, we'll come underneath this and we'll just say we want to grab our panels and we want to grab the H1 elements. Okay, so we have these panels here, and then we want to grab the individual H1 elements like so. Okay, so to do that, now what we want to do, and let me just delete this for a second, let's just see, actually no, let's make this one up here just so we can see what we're working with. I'm just going to say we'll set the font size here, we'll make these a bit bigger actually, we'll say font size 15 VW, just to make it a bit bigger, like so. Okay, so let's see how that grows with the screen. Okay, yeah, that looks alright. Remember, it's quite subtle with the dark background, so we don't want this to be too in your face really, but we might change that a bit later. Let's just say as well, margin right 1 rem. So I'm just going to set the margin right 1 rem here. So this will be to the right of the text, or as you can see the top part here. And what we're going to do, we're going to use JavaScript just to repeat this text along the div. Okay, so we have loads of Conors repeating in this panel, loads of the words Bailey repeating in this panel. Okay, so that's why we're setting this margin here of 1 rem, just to give it a bit of space in between each word. Okay, now underneath here, we're just going to grab our hero hyphen text. And remember, the hero text is just this div, this container div here, with this class of hero text containing our main hero headers here. Okay, so with this, I'm just going to say position absolute, and I want to give this a z-index of 10 just to bring it in front of everything really. And then we'll say bottom of 0, just to bring it to the bottom of the section here. And then I'm also just going to say display grid. So we're going to use a CSS grid to display this. And then what I also want to do actually, just so we can see our text, I'm just going to remove that translate for now, just so we can see what we're working with. Okay, and then, so once we've displayed as grid, we're going to set the width to 100%. Again, if we do a border here of 1 pixel solid green, can see there's our section there. Okay, and then what else we want to do here, I'm just going to set some grid template columns. This is the amount of columns we're going to have in this section. So grid template template columns, and we're going to use the repeat function here. And what we can say here is we want to repeat 12 times at 1 fraction unit. Okay, and what that will do now, you'll see if we do an inspect element here, and I'm just going to, if we just come to hero text, okay, grid template columns, repeat 12, 1 FR. Okay, repeat 12, 1 FR. Okay, we should be seeing 12 columns there. I'm not sure why that's not showing up as 12 columns at the moment. Let's come out of this. It's a bit bigger. Let's do an inspect again. Okay, hello container. Okay, I guess it's because we just got the 3 divs in there for now, but this is split into 12. We can see here we're using 12 fraction units. So what you would see, actually let's just try, something here. I just want to remove these divs from the hero text section for now. And then if we just set the height of this hero text section, we'll just say height, 50%. And you should see now, okay, grid template columns, display grid. Okay, look, we'll leave it for now. I don't know why it's not showing it in the selector here. It usually does, but we'll get to the bottom of that in a second as we go along with the code. Okay, so let's move on. I'm going to uncomment that HTML. Okay, so next thing we want to do here is I'm just going to come into, I'm going to set the color of the text. Okay, so to do this, we'll just say color, and we'll set it to, I don't know, this kind of, what's this Alice blue looking like for now. I might just change that just to a slightly darker, or we'll just make it a bit see-through for the time being, like so. Okay, and then the next thing we want to do here is now we're going to select our hero text div elements and just position them. Okay, so to do that, first one I want to do here is say hero text, and then we're going to select the child div, or the first child div. Okay, so env child, we can say 1. This will select the first child, and here I'm just going to set the grid area. Okay, and we're going to say we want to start from the first row, start from the first column, and then we want to end at the first row, and then finish at the last column. So that would be 13 as there's 12 rows. Okay, so that would be the first element here. And you can see now, actually, when we come onto this, you can see now we're getting those 12 columns there. So that's showing up in our CSS like so. Okay, and then the next thing we want to do here is we're just going to say, we come to our CSS again, and then we want to copy this down twice, and then we just change these to 2 and 3 to set the second and third divs. And for the second div, we're just going to set the row start to be 2, or column start rather to be 2, the row start to be 3, and then we'll just say the grid area. Actually, what is the stat format here? Okay, so we can see here when we hover over this, shorthand is for grid. So the first number is the grid row start, then it's grid column start, then the grid row end, and the grid column end. Okay, so that's what these for. That's how they're basically laid out for this grid area. Okay, so for the nth child 2, we're just going to say 3, and then 3, and then we'll also just give that last one to 13, like so. And then finally, what we want to do here for the third child, we're just going to say 3, 3, 4. Okay. So, okay, that's looking good. And then what I want to do with this last div is I'm just going to set, I want to align this to the right. Okay, so say text align, and we'll just say right, just to bring it to the edge of the page, like so. Okay, so that's looking okay. Let's just check that again to see what the grid's looking like. That's not really show you. Okay, so now you can see we've got the nice evenly spaced out 12 columns, okay, within our grid area. So that's what we're using that grid for, to display out this text nice and evenly across the landing page. Okay, so now next thing I want to do here is we're just going to create some animations now. Okay, so we'll just do okay, so yeah, let's just do that now. We'll do keyframes here. So I'll say at keyframes, and then we're just going to say so the first animation I want to create here is just an animation called lift. Okay, and what that will do, we'll just say at 0%, so the start of the animation, we're just going to do a transform, and then we're just going to say translate minus 50%, minus 50%, and then we're just going to rotate by 90 degrees, like so. Okay, so that's the first part, and then at 50%, so we change that to 50, and I'm just going to say, again, translate, and here I'm just going to set this to minus 1000%. Okay, and then again, keep that rotate, and these should be negative 90 degrees, sorry. Okay, and then finally 100%, I'm just going to keep it or make it go back to the beginning, like so. So we just copy that first one and change this to 100%. Okay, so the animation ends at where it started. Okay, and then I'm also just going to do a similar animation for reverse. So we just say at keyframes reverse this time. At keyframes, and this will be reverse. Like so. And then we just basically just move these around. So I'll say 1000, and then that will be, change that to 50. And then again, we'll set the bottom to 1000%, like so. Okay, and then coming on top of these, so we're pretty much done for our CSS now. It's just going to come on top here. I'll say dot forward, and I don't think we had this forward class in our HTML, so we're going to have to do that. We're going to set the animation here, and we're going to use lift. We're going to make it last for 100 seconds. We're going to make it a linear animation, so it's smooth, it goes smoothly, and we're going to set it to infinite, so it loops. The animation will loop. Okay, we'll do a similar thing for reverse. So reverse. Actually, I don't know why I'm spelling that with an A, sorry, let me just take that out. A. Okay, and then reverse, we'll just say change this animation to reverse here, like so. So what we should have now is if we come back to our HTML, okay, so what we wanted to do here is I'm just going to add the forward animation here, like so, forward, and then also in here as well, forward. Okay, so we can see that one's working, and why is that other one not working? Reverse, okay, yes, because I have to change, obviously, I spelled this wrong, reverse. Nope. Why is that not working for the first ones? Okay, I'm not going to pause the video, guys. We're going to solve our errors as we go here, just so you can see what it's actually like coding, like when you don't understand why stuff works, or isn't working rather. So I can see, yeah, that's all the same. We're using reverse. Why would that not work then? So I'm saying reverse. We have the reverse animation here. Let's just see if that is applied to our text wrap. Okay, so we have this element here, and we have the reverse animation. close this down and try and reopen again. Nope, still not liking it. Okay. What am I doing wrong? Okay, let me just try something actually. Maybe it's because that's a key word. Okay, lift reverse, lift reverse. Okay, that looks like it is actually working now. So for example, if I change this, just be, I don't know, 10%. Oh, yeah, I think it's because that reverse is a key word in CSS. So sorry about that, guys. Yeah, we can see that is gradually moving now. Okay, that works. So yeah, don't use reverse. There you go. Let's learn something today as well. Okay, so now what we want to do is, that's pretty much it for our CSS. I'd say I just want to change that back to 1000% and that to 1000% as well. Okay, so next thing we want to do here, let's just move to our TypeScripts now. So we're ready to go with the interesting part. I'm just going to remove these borders actually, we don't want to see them anymore. So come out of here and also this border as well. Okay, so let's go to our TypeScript. And the first thing we want to do in our TypeScript is we're just going to grab some elements. Okay, so I'm just going to say const canvas. Let's get our canvas first. I'm going to say, we're going to give this a type actually. Okay, so this is going to have a type of HTML, and we have built in like elements for DOM elements with TypeScript. Okay, so we can say here HTML canvas element, and that's going to equal document.query selector, and here we're just going to select our canvas like so. Okay, and you can see we're actually getting an error there. It's saying basically the error is HTML canvas element or null is not assignable to type. So basically what TypeScript is telling us here is that this could be a null if there isn't a canvas on our window. So to get rid of that, we're just going to use the non-null checker here. Okay, so what this does is exclamation mark tells us that basically this is never going to be a null. There will be a canvas on the in the HTML. We know for sure that there is a canvas present on the HTML file. Okay, and then if you can see, come to our app.js, you can see now we've got our canvas selected there like so. Okay, so coming back, the next thing we want to do here is we're going to get a context for our canvas. This is how we're going to draw that kind of web pattern onto our canvas. And again, this has a type as well. So just do a colon, which is a canvas, and this will be rendering context. Okay, 2D, and then we're just going to say equals canvas dot get context, and we're just going to say 2D. Okay, so we're going to be drawing a 2D image onto our canvas. Okay, and then again, I'm just going to use the non-null operator at the end there, so the exclamation mark. You could also just do or like with the pipe null. Okay. So what is that? Okay, I guess you can't use it there. So we'll say null. If we remove that. Oh, sorry, I'm putting it in the wrong place. Okay. That should be all there. You could use null there as well, and that would work if we remove this. But yeah, I just think it's, you know, it's cleaner just to say that will never be not present. So I just use a non-null operator there like so. Okay, so we have our canvas now. Next thing I'm going to do is we're going to create a circle array. Okay, so this is going to be basically an array of all the circles that are present on the web animation. So to do that, we're just going to say let circle array and that's going to equal an empty array. Okay, and what TypeScript actually does is when we do create like an array, for example, it will say, you know, it does give it a type, okay? It does infer a type automatically. So we can see the types inferred here. So basically what this means is any, it means this could be, and we have like the array. These two square brackets mean that it's going to be an array. Okay, so if we say, for example, this could be, you know, an array of strings, we'd just say string array, like so. Okay, now you can see when we hover over, it gives it the type here. Any means you can place anything in the array. Okay, so what we want our coordinates, we want actually, let's create a type for our circle array. So what this will be is, I'm just going to set we're going to call it an interface. Okay, so interface, and what this does, it basically just details the type of the, it allows you to create a custom type of what this array is going to hold. Okay, so I'm going to set coordinates here. This is where we're going to place coordinates on our canvas. Okay, and then this is just going to have an x variable, which will be a number. Okay, so it'd be the number on the x-axis, and then we're also just going to have a y variable, so number on the y-axis. Okay, so that's our type. This is like an interface type or type basically. And here what we can do now is we can set this to be a coordinates type array. So I just say coordinates, we can set that to array. Okay, so now you can see this will only take in coordinates. So for example, if I said I don't know, circle array dot push, we try to push a string, we should be getting an error. I'm not sure why that's not. Okay, now we are. Okay, so now you can see, yeah, string is not assignable to a parameter of type coordinates. However, if we put, for example, an x of 0 and a y of 0, you can see now we get no errors there, okay, because that is the type that this array is expecting. Okay, so we've created our own interface now, our own custom type. Next thing I want to do here is I'm just going to say let panel headers, and that's going to equal document dot query selector all, and here I'm just going to say dot panel h1, like so. Okay, so we have our panel headers here, and you can see this is automatically inferred that this is going to be a node list of different elements. Okay, so that's what document query selector all does return. It is a node list. So to convert that into an array, I'm just going to say let panel headers array, and we have to do this when we're output into ES5 syntax because it's quite older. We just have to use this workaround. We have to convert into a header. We can't use the my usual way of you know, using the spread operator to do this, because it's output into, if we was output into ES6 this would work, but just for the sake of this tutorial I want it to work with ES5, so this is why I'm converting this headers array to a list of HTML elements as opposed to a node list, okay, as is the type listed here. Okay, so we're just going to say let panel headers array equal, and this is going to be a type of HTML element, and it's going to be an array as well, and here I'm just going to say array dot prototype dot slice dot call, and we're just going to pass in that panel headers. Okay, so now that's cool, and that should be a colon. Okay, so now yeah, if we just console.log panel headers array, like so, we should see in our console. Oh, it's already open. Okay, we have our 4 headers there, like so. Okay, so that's working. Let's just look at our JavaScript file. We can see we're getting this nice var keyword. It's all in ES5, so you know it'll work in many browsers. Okay, and you can see the interface has been removed as well, as obviously that's not you know, standard JavaScript. Okay, so now next thing we want to do here is just grab const. I'm going to say hero headers this time. So this is like the hero header text here, like so. And we're just going to say again, we're going to just say document.query selector all, And here we're just going to say dot hero dot underscore header, like so. Okay, and then finally we just do the same thing as we did up here again. I'm just going to copy this down actually, so let's retype in. And here I'm just going to say call this or hero headers array. So I'll just say hero, and then we'll just pass in our hero headers there. Okay, cool. So that's pretty much it. So next thing I want to do now is I'm just going to say we need to create another interface here. Okay, so I'm going to say interface. This is going to just be used for our animation. Okay, we're going to call this mouse coords for coordinates, and we're going to set x to be a number, y to be a number, target x to be a number, that should be a number, and target y to be a number. Okay, and then underneath this I'm going to have a function. So we're going to be using this mouse called interface basically just to track our mouse coordinates, just so we can apply that animation to follow our mouse moves with the canvas. And then underneath here I'm going to create a function called set dimensions. Okay, so function set dimensions. Okay, and in here we're going to grab our canvas and we're going to say dot width equals window dot inner width. Okay, so that will basically make our canvas the same width as our screen or our viewport. And then we're going to say canvas dot height equals window dot inner height, like so. And then we're going to basically reset our circle array when we set the dimensions, okay, just so we can reset the animation if we ever change the screen size, which is going to be whenever we change the screen size, this function will be called. Okay, so that's why we're resetting the circle array to contain no elements. Okay, and then we're going to do a for loop now. So I'm going to say for let, we'll say let I equal 0 whilst I is less than 100. So we're going to have 100 circles on our animation. Then we'll increment I by 1. And then what we're going to do here, we're just going to say let x equal, and we'll just say 0. Again, you can see the type is automatically inferred here. That's what TypeScript does. You could put a number, but there's no point really. We'll just say let y equal 0 as well. And now what we're going to do within this for loop is we're going to do a while loop. Okay, so actually, no, we won't. We'll do that after. I'll show you why we do that after. Okay, so first thing I want to do now is I'm just going to say circles array dot push, and we just want to push x and y, like so. Okay, so that's it. We've pushed it. If we, for example, if we try to push a third variable, z's not declared, but also we can see here, this z is not assignable to the parameter type of coordinates. It's not expecting a z variable. That's why. If we was to add a z in here as a number, okay, we'll still get an error, but we can see it's only getting an error because the number's not been provided this time. Okay, so let's just take that out now. And likewise, if we only have the x and y variable, it will say property z is missing because it's declared in the coordinates and not declared here. What we can do is in our interface, we can say this is an optional argument. Okay, so now you can see that error is gone because we've placed a question mark here and said that's optional. But in this case, we don't need it, so I'm just going to remove it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is going to say window.add event listener, listen to the resize event, and we're just going to, whenever we resize our window, we're just going to say call that set dimensions function. Okay, so that's all good. Now if we come to our canvas, you should see, okay, it's not, we probably need to call that actually as well, so I'm just going to say set dimensions down here as well. Set dimensions, we'll call that. And now if we come to our canvas, let's just reset, and then we can see if we come to canvas now, you can see it is the width of the viewport, and it always changes now when we resize our window. can see the width changes because we're resizing, and it's always getting cool. You can see the width is changing there, and if we adjust the height, you can see the height should adjust as well. Okay, cool, so that's working. Now the next thing we want to do, so we've got our set dimensions function. Next function I'm going to create is a lerp function. You'll be familiar with this if you watch my videos usually. So this is just a function we use to animate or just create a nice smooth animation within our canvas. So I'm going to say lerp, and this is going to take a start variable, which will be a number, an end, which will be a number type, and a time variable, which is say t number as well. Okay, and then what this does, we're just going to return start times 1 minus t plus end times t. Okay, I do have a video on the lerp function if you want to view that in my history, but yeah, it's basically just a way of getting a nice smooth animation for the canvas web that we're going to create shortly. Okay, so now the thing I'm going to do next is I'm going to set some initial mouse coordinates. Okay, so kind of underneath here I'm going to say let mouse chords, I'll just make that a lowercase m, and this is going to have the type of mouse chords as well. That's going to equal, and here we'll just say x0, comma y0, target x 0, and target y 0. Okay, and you can see we get an error there, and that is because, okay, it's because it's a capital. Okay, so we just delete that. And that's another good thing about TypeScript as well. It points out obvious errors like that you wouldn't usually get. Okay, so cool. Now, next thing we want to do here is we're actually going to add another listener to our window. Add event listener. I'm going to listen for a mouse move here. So mouse move. And here we're going to take in the event. And then whenever we move our mouse, we're going to say mouse coordinates dot target x equals e dot client x. Okay, and then what we want to do here is we want to say minus canvas dot width divided by 2, and this will just make it go across the whole canvas basically. Okay, so that's why we're just taking the canvas width and dividing it by half, so it spreads across, the animation goes across the whole canvas. Okay, we do a similar thing for the target y, so just change this to y e dot client y, and here we're just obviously applying it for the height of the canvas. Okay, that's cool. So now we get on to the actual animation point. So to do that, we're just going to say function animate. Okay, so we're nearly there, guys. I know this is quite a long tutorial, but yeah, I'm just trying to explain TypeScript as we go, really. So it's a kind of a double lesson today. So next thing we want to do in the animate function, we're going to get our context next, and we're going to set the fill style, and we're going to just set it to, I think this is a green color, so if I just do a hashtag, and we'll just say DCFE4A, like so, and then I'm just going to say, when we basically this animate function is going to be called over and over again using the request animation frame. So we're always going to want to clear the canvas whenever we run the animation again, just so it can be repainted. Okay, so it looks like we actually have an animation going. So to do that, we're just going to say ctx.clearRect, and we want to clear from the top. So you can see the x and the y. So the top left, which is 0, 0, and then we'll say canvas.width, and then canvas.height for the y axis for the height. So say dot height, like so. And then the next thing we want to do is we're just going to say ctx.begin path. Okay, so this will say we want to begin a painting of the canvas. And actually the first thing I want to do before that is just want to set our mouse coordinates so our canvas knows what to paint. So I'm going to say mouse coordinates dot x, and we're going to use the lerp function now that we created above. And here we're going to say mouse coordinates dot x. Okay, and then we're going to say that's the start variable. Then we're going to say mouse coordinates dot target x. Okay, for the end variable, and the time we're just going to say 0.075. Okay, and then we'll do a similar thing for the y. So mouse coordinates.y, change that to mouse coordinates.y there, and obviously target y like so. So now after that we did the begin path, and now we need to do a for loop. So we're going to say for let I equals 0. Whilst I is less than, and here we're just going to say iteration. We're going to create an iteration variable, and we'll just say I plus plus. Actually, for now we'll say circles array.length. We'll do that after, circles array.length, like so, just so we do all of our circles. And here, what we're going to do for each iteration of our circles, we're going to say let, we're going to destructure the x and y variable from our iteration of the circle array. Okay, so say circle array I, like so. And then, so what we can do then is we're just going to say, yeah, we're going to do another ctx.beginPath here, ctx.beginPath, and then we're going to create some arc. So say ctx.arc, and that's going to equal x plus mousecoords.x, and then for the y variable we're just going to say y plus, so we're taking these x and y variables here, and then we want to move this with our mouse coordinates.y, okay? And then for the radius we'll just say 2 for now, and then for the start angle we can just set that at 0, and then for the end angle we're just going to do 2 times math.pi, and that will give us a full circle. Okay, so now if I just do, if we come to the bottom and just do the animate function here, just to see if we get anything. Oh, animate. Okay, we're getting nothing yet, so let's just check if we're getting any errors. No, we're not. Okay. Right, so that's all looking okay. What we need to do here as well, if we come out here, we just do ctx.closePath. Let's just make this a bit smaller. Okay, so now underneath this, we're just going to say, we also just need to do a fill as well. Sorry guys, so yeah, ctx.arc, and then we just do ctx.fill. And then once that's done, and the next thing we want to do here is we're going to say ctx.closePath. Okay, let's just keep moving on for now. Okay, begin path, and then we want to say, let's just illustrate. So what we're going to do next is we want to draw our lines as well to each circle. Let's just see if our canvas is in front of. Okay, right, our canvas is, alright, that's working. So now what we want to do here, I've come to our TypeScript again, so we can say move to, and we need to do canvas.width divided by 2. So I want to move to the center of the canvas, okay? And then I'm just going to do canvas.height divided by 2, and then we'll just do a ctx.line2 here. So from the center of our canvas, we're going to draw a line from the center to x plus mousecoords.x, and then y plus mousecoords.y, like so. Okay, and then the next thing we want to do, and And you know why we can't see anything? It's because we've not created any we've not created any actual, let's just do that now. What I can say here is x equals math.random. Sorry, they're all set to 0, that's why we're not seeing anything. I was getting confused there. And we're just going to say math.random times canvas.width. Okay, so you can see there's our circle spread across the top of the screen, and then we can just do a y. Sorry guys, that's why you wasn't seeing anything. We'll just say y equals math.random times canvas.height. Okay, so there you go, you can see our they're all spread across the screen now, our circles. Okay, that's cool. So now what we want to do is I'm just going to say let's come back to our JavaScript, we'll come back down to our animate. And then once we've done our line 2, I'm just going to set a stroke style here. So I'll just say stroke style equals, and I'm going to make this just a see-through white. So RGBA here, I'm going to use 171, 171, 171. I'm going to have some opacity here, so 0.118 for the alpha. Okay, and then what we need to do as well, coming out of this, is just say ctx.stroke to make that stroke. Okay, and now you can see we have our lines to each circle on our screen. Okay, so that's looking okay. Now, next thing we want to do here, obviously we're not getting any movement at the moment. So why are we not getting any movement? Okay, so okay. Let's just console.log mouse coords. Okay, it's because we're not doing the request animation frame. Sorry guys, I'm being a noob today. Okay, request animation frame, and we just want to call the animate function over and over again. There you go, that's why. And let's just get rid of that console log. Okay, so now you can see that's following our mouse move nicely. Okay, and then whenever we change, it's always adjusted. Now what I want to do here is I want to bring in the circles so they don't go to the edge of the screen. I don't want them to take up like sort of 80% horizontally and vertically. So to do that, when we do our set dimensions, what I'm going to do here is underneath the X and Y, I'm going to say while X is less than 0, sorry, canvas.width times 0.2, or X is greater than canvas.width times 0. So 80% of the canvas, then I'm going to just say like that. Okay, and then we can do the same thing for the Y. So whilst it's not within range basically of the center of the screen, then we'll just keep generating the X until it does fall within the specified bounds. Okay, and then we can do a similar thing for the Y. So I'll just come here, so I'll just say whilst Y is less than canvas.height, and whilst Y is greater than canvas.height, then we'll just say Y height, like so. And then we can delete that point here, and then now you'll see that it's we've brought in our kind of area here. Okay, so we're basically nearly done, guys. The next thing we need to do here is we're just going to say I just want to create like let's just create like an intro animation. Okay, so to do that, we want to just gradually bring in each circle. So what we'll say here is we're going to change this to, we're going to add some new variables. So I'm going to say up above the animate function, we'll say let frame equal 0 and let iteration equal 0. And then I'm going to say here, whilst in this for loop, we'll change this to iteration, like so. And then, so at the moment, obviously iteration set to 0, so we'll see no circles. And then coming down the bottom here, I'm going to always increment the frame variable, so I'll just say frame plus plus. And then what we can say here is if the frame mod 10 is equal to 1 and the iteration is less than circles array dot length, then we'll just say iteration plus plus. And now you'll see we get our circles gradually come in like so. Okay, so that's just nice for the intro. I think it's a pretty cool effect. So now what I want to do is I just want to obviously change our text, intro text as well. Obviously I want to repeat that panel text as well. So to do that, what we're going to do here, we're just going to say underneath here, hero headers array dot for each. So we're going to use the for each function here. We're going to take in each header. Also, it passes in the index as well, the for each function. And here, what we're just going to say, we're going to do a set timeout. And we're just going to say header.style.transform equals, and we'll just say translate 0. Translate y 0, like so. And then I'm going to give this like a 2-second intro, and then plus we're just going to take that index variable and stagger it by an additional 300 milliseconds. Okay, and then the next thing, so what I need to do here as well, we just take that out. You'll see now is when we load our page, we get our staggered text reveal. Okay, so that's what that function's doing, so that's working okay. Okay, and then I also just want to say, let's just do a margin right 1 rem. Okay, cool. Now, next thing we want to do, so now we just need to just obviously duplicate that background text. So to do that, let's just say, we're going to do another set timeout here. Okay, yep, so above here we're just going to do a set timeout. Okay, and then we're going to say panel headers array dot for each. And here again we're going to pass in the header and the index. And then we're just going to say for let I equals 0 whilst I is less than 10, I plus plus. And then we're going to say let clone, so we're going to clone each of our panel headers, and we're going to say equal header, so we're taking the header that we pass in from the for each, and we're just going to say dot clone node true. And then we're going to say header dot parent element dot append child, and then we can just say clone. Okay, and then we've added this question mark here just to say, you know, if it make sure that is available. And now you can see we have our text that's repeating like so. Okay, so we've cloned each header, and you can see the animation's working, looking good. So now the next thing we want to do here as well is I'm just going to add underneath here, we're just going to do another set timeout. So I say set timeout, and we're just going to say header dot parent element dot class list dot add active, like so, and then we're just going to take the index and times that by 100 milliseconds. And now what we need to do here as well is just come into our, why did we have the opacity? No, it's not that. So what's our parent element here? If we just console. If we come to our console here, so we have text wrap. So what we want to do is just change our text wrap. Okay, so we come here, text wrap. We'll set that initial opacity to 0, and then yeah, when it's active, it will have the opacity of 1. So now if we refresh, okay. I'm in the JavaScript file there. And what we didn't do there, let's just see what's going on with that. Okay, that's working now. Cool. So now if I make that bigger, you can see what I want to do here is actually just delay that coming in a bit more, so we can just say, we'll just delay that with 1 second. And just, yeah, stagger that a little bit. Okay, yeah, that's working now, cool. So there you go. You know, nice staggered animation. And there you go, yeah. Okay, so that's pretty much it, guys. I'm going to wrap up this tutorial for now because it's going on for ages. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that today. Yeah, just to give you a basic overview of TypeScript, really. And, you know, we've created this cool animation from it. It's just to show the output.js. You can see, obviously, it's converted all into ES5 syntax. So, you know, as I said before, it'll run in, you know, all the old browsers. It'll have a lot of compatibility. But yeah, and it's also good just to pick up, you know, errors, and obviously, you know, going forward we can look into these additional settings as well. I'm still, you know, picking up TypeScript myself. I dived into it recently, but I think it's important now. It seems to be the way that the industry is going. But yeah, again, hope you enjoy, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.